Self in relation to others. We should let neither flattery, criticism, nor opinions of others turn us aside from those vital things for which we stand. Those things that are lifting us upward and building within us that which will endure until the end. Let us turn within to see if we are being true to ourselves when temptations arise. We know that we cannot be true to others unless we are first true to ourselves. As we cultivate the ability to discriminate between right and wrong, good and evil, we are reaching the plane where we may be masters of our destiny. It is found in keeping the whole law. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and thy neighbor as thyself. This is a spiritual desire, for the carnal mind is envious. There is in all of us that still voice that teaches sacrifice, love, and service, that warns of every catastrophe and protects from all danger. When it is listened to and followed, no mistakes are made, no wars are fought, no homes are broken up. For then we seek the good of our neighbors and the will of the Creator. Let us dare to see ourselves as others see us. It is well to stand aside and see ourselves go by. Let us think back over the words and acts of the day, asking ourselves these questions. Why did we do this or that? Would we have acted before our God in the manner we acted before our neighbor? Are we expressing our concepts of God in our lives to those we contact? It is indeed true that no man liveth to himself and no man dieth to himself. It is well to know what the other person thinks of us. We must, without any feeling of shame or humiliation, be willing to be measured by the standard that we have given one the impression we hold. It is our duty to study and discipline ourselves so that each word and each action may reflect just what we would be, and not let them be so different that they are not recognized as children of the same family. While we are seeking to know ourselves through meditation or by taking an inventory, we are passing, as it were, signposts. We see a little light day by day, or catch a word here, an idea there, from those we contact, who help us to realize that all are traveling along the same road. Truly, the better we know ourselves, the better we understand others. Does it not make us more tolerant of our neighbors if we see them as we are, or as we have been? Since service is the means of fulfilling our mission here, the question will naturally arise, who is this neighbor that we should serve? It is that person who is in need of help, whether the individual be friend or foe, regardless of his or her race or creed. When Jesus defined this question, he said, "Behold my mother and my brethren. For whosoever shall do the will of my Father which is in heaven, the same is my brother and sister and mother." If we measure our activities in the daily walks of life by the standard of the Christ, there will never be a regret. It is following the teachings of the Master that will lead more and more in the way toward a perfect understanding. Be what you seem. Live your creed. Hold up to earth the torch divine. Be what you pray to be made. Let the Master Jesus' steps be thine. If ye would know love, ye must be lovely. If ye would have life, give it. What is life? God. In action with thy fellowmen. This bringeth also a desire for expressions of self in many fields of activity, in the mental, in the social, in the home, in the economic reasonings and surroundings. Yes, all of these may be summed up, I am the Lord's. I will that is will direct, and will to do that which is in keeping with not what others think, not what others have said, but what I know. I am my ideal, the Christ what he would have me say, and be, and do. Thus may the entity find in the humdrum of its associations, in the trials and cares of others, that song indeed that may be upon the heart and mind and lips of every soul. He walks and he talks with me. He goeth with me into the garden, in my joys, in my sorrows. He keepeth my hands, my feet steady in my ministry to my loved ones, to my friends, to my foes. For they are, too, his. And in me they may see that he walks and he talks with me. In analyzing the composite urges arising from an analysis of the sojourn during the interims between material experiences, we find here a body, a mind, a soul grown in grace, yet apparently circumstances have at times so subdued the body that in righteous wrath it has risen to meet situations. This is well. Do not put anything before the divine purpose within self. For all that each soul may know of the Creator is that which will answer to the Spirit of truth as the entity deals with the problems of the day. For it is here a little, there a little. God's purpose is ever growth. For ye grow in grace, in knowledge, in understanding. Where will I find my success meaning distance or remote parts means no obstacle. Begin where one is. Begin where you are. To attempt to run away from shadows or from self is to create a fear that is hard to overcome. Be sure your sins will find you out. Be sure your efforts, your attempts towards making all efforts in loving God, eschewing evil, showing mercy and patience, doing that which is known to be right, will as readily find you out. Begin where you are, in whatsoever capacity the chance or condition presents itself, in the fields of activity in which the body knows itself to be mentally and physically efficient to a greater or lesser degree. Find and no confidence can be placed in self by self. If it cannot, how can it be placed there by anyone else? To run away from that as would trouble does not alleviate responsibility, nor does the shifting of responsibility relieve the body conscience, or the body ability of that as the mental being is responsible for. When anyone feels there is only a one side to a trouble, he may be very sure he, the individual, is selfish in his own outlook and is warped in his judgment by same. In the present there is that innate awe of any religious service, of any cult. Any purport of a service brings awe and a respect of the one so serving, unless there is seen that same is a sham, then abhorrence comes to the entity. Then, as an innate experience in the present, the entity may be trusted as to word given, often to its own undoing, if governed or judged by the material-minded body, but remain true to that though the heavens fall. For being true to self brings that satisfaction that does not breed contempt, nor does it bring dishonor or shame. Does fire burn the soul or the physical body? Yet, self may cast self into a fire element by doing that the soul knows to be wrong. What would make a wrong and a right? A comparison of that the soul knows its consciousness to be in accord or contrariwise with, in relation to that which gave it existence. Then it would behoove the entity to first study what is the law of the Lord thy God. It is bound up in the admonition that thou shalt love the Lord with all thy mind, thy heart and thy soul, and thy neighbor as thyself. The laws pertaining to same are ever true that the manner in which ye treat thy fellow man ye are treating thy Maker. The seed ye sow ye shall also reap. The measure with which ye mete to others must come back to thee. These are immutable, unchangeable. Then, what have ye done, what will ye do with these laws, these privileges, these opportunities? How may I cultivate a better approach in meeting people? Much in the manner and way as the oaf that hunted the horse. Think of how you would like to be treated. Then treat the other fellow that same way. Cultivate that, and ye will build a personality that may be not surpassed by any. Just meet everyone as ye would like them to meet you. In meeting a friend, a foe, an employer, a teacher, a minister, think not of their position, but rather that you as an emissary of the Lord of Lords are meeting thyself. This is what is meant by and thy neighbor as thyself. In such a manner, in such a mean, may one build a smile that will make the whole world glad, a handshake that will make the whole world happy. These are not trite, these are truth. Apply them. For they are not as sayings but are practical, applicable experiences for thee if ye will but use them. For know, as ye meet to thy fellowman, so is it meted unto thee. God is not mocked, and whatsoever an individual or soul soweth, that must he also reap. As ye have seen from the experiences, ye are constantly meeting thyself, thy purpose, thy service, and in being first true to thine own self and body, in mind, in spirit, ye cannot be false to any. What can I best do to help my son physically and materially? By precept, by example, give to him that cheer, that knowledge, that hope, that self living aright and God upon his side, is greater than having the world on thy side and God left out. For one soul with God is in the majority. As in dreams, those forces of the subconscious, when taken or correlated into those forms that relate to the various phases of the individual, give to that individual the better understanding of self, when correctly interpreted, or when correctly answered. Forget not that it has been said correctly that the Creator, the gods and the God of the universe, speak to man through this individual self. Man approaches the nearer condition of its approach to that field when the normal is at rest, sleep or slumber, and when more of the forces are taken into consideration and are studied by the individual, not someone else. It is the individual's job, each individual's condition, each individual's position, each individual's relation, each individual's manifestation, each individual's receiving the message from the higher forces themselves, and for each individual to understand if they will study, to show themselves approved. Extremes have been and will be a part of the experience. But for the entity with its disappointments, its sorrows, its shames at times, there should be applied those same tenets in self as in relationships to others, as he who is the way gave, neither do I condemn thee, go and sin no more. These should be kept first and foremost in the experience of the entity, and in applying the experiences of life one with another, learn that as long as there is life there is hope, there is opportunity. Stop, consider, listen to the promptings deep within self. Know that He, Father God, is mindful of thee, but the very fact that ye still have the opportunity in self to know thyself, and to desire and to hope, and to wish for those changes as should come into thine own experience, that ye may never condemn thyself. If He condemns thee not, why condemn thyself? And if He condemns not, it matters not what others may think. Then apply in thy experience, in thy relationships, in thy associations one with another, knowing as He has given, inasmuch as ye do it unto the least of these my children, ye do it unto me. Today, as ye will hear His voice, then turn, know in whom ye believe, knowing that He is able to forgive sin in the earth, in the mental, yea in the hereafter. For, even to that one on the cross He gave, today thou shalt be with me in paradise. So with thee in thy seeking, in thy own stumbling manner, listen to that voice within. Or, even as a man, Abraham, the son of faith, the author of faith, offered or was willing to offer his only son, his physical heir, knowing that there must be a purpose from that inner voice as to that command. That ye ask in my name, believing, that shall ye have within yourself. Do not, then, in asking, make conditions, but surrender self unconditionally into the hands of the divine from within, and that from within shall answer, even as was said, my spirit beareth witness with your spirit that ye are called the sons, the daughters, of the living God. For in Him only is that peace, and the blessings of those whom the body contacts will bring the greater joy, the greater happiness. Study to show thyself approved unto God in every phase of thy experiences. This does not indicate, neither does it intimate, that there is to be only long-facedness, nor a constant condemning of self for this or that not being in thine experience. For this is not dividing nor divining the words of truth, and that must be the experience of every one. For if thy relationships with thy creative energies and forces and ideals do not make thee a better son, a better neighbor, a better brother, a better citizen, there's something wrong with thy concept of the ideal. And unless such an activity brings joy, gladness, happiness and willingness to be the servant of all, yet willing to be the Lord of all, yet humble, there is still something wrong. For he that is the greatest servant is the Lord of the many, and he that seeks in the life's service and the life's activity to give not just a day's labor, but more, not just making the grade, but willing and active in making more. He that would induce thee to go the mile, go twain. This is the law, this is grace, this is mercy. This is as He lived, and only asks that each follow in His way, and not only follow, but He will lead and direct thee to activity, and will comfort and sustain if you will trust wholly in Him. If thy activity in living thy ideal makes thee as one aloof, something then is wrong. If it makes thee better as a social companion, this is the right. Why is suicide considered wrong? Have we the right to leave the body? So long as there are those that depend upon the body. And how hath it been given? No man liveth to himself, no man dieth to himself. No man hath been so low that some soul hath not depended upon, relied upon same for strength. Thus we find while there may be those experiences, these are rather of a selfish nature. But remember He gave, those that would offend one of these, my little ones, better that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and he were cast into the depths of the sea. Then, when thine whole body and the purposes of thine mind as to do evil, well that they be separated from the channel or the means of bringing offense. For, as ye analyze thyself and thy relationships with thy fellow men day by day, ye realize the fact, the truth, that inasmuch as ye do it unto the least of thy brethren, ye do it unto me. Then ye realize with what manner of judgment ye may expect, ye may desire to be judged by that part of thyself, which is to be glorified only in thy daily application, use, or the admonitions in the use of same towards others. Then as ye realize and apply that, it does not become a matter of what one professes to believe, or what one says with the mouth, but what one does in secret, in the mind, in the self, toward that it professes and admonishes and insists that others believe. And such activities of thy inner mind and of thy outer expression are to be wholly consistent one with another. In judgment, as in mental self, it must be exacting, but no more exacting of others than of self, and no more exacting of self than of others. For, know, with what measure ye mete to others ye are measuring to thy Maker, God. Know that all the creative force ye may become aware of is within thine own self. For, as thy body is indeed the temple of the living God, there he has promised to meet thee. In the application of self and training, teaching, directing others, may the entity find the greater outlet. Yet study thyself the more. And this will enable thee to interpret others and their motives. Not as judgments, for if ye would not be judged then ye do not judge others. Please tell me if this is my own father in this appearance, and is Adolf my brother? Who is thy father, who is thy mother? They that do the things necessary in thy experience that ye may learn, that ye may know, thy heavenly Father the better. These are thy material parents. Then aid them in seeing, not by preaching, not by mere precept, but by living a normal, balanced, godly life among them. Is there some karmic debt to be worked out with either or both, and should I stay with them until I have made them feel more kindly toward me? These what is karmic debt? This ye have made a bugaboo. This ye have overbalanced within thyself. What is thy life but the gift of thy Maker that ye may be wholly one with him? Thy relationships to thy fellows through the various experiences in the earth come to be then in the light of what creative forces would be in thy relationships to the act itself. And whether it be as individual activities to those who have individualized as thy father, thy mother, thy brother or the like, or others, it is merely self being met in relationships to that they themselves are working out, and not a karmic debt between but a karmic debt of self that may be worked out between the associations that exist in the present. And this is true for every soul. If ye will but take that as was given thee. Neither do I condemn thee, neither do I condemn thee. Who gave that? Life itself. Not a personality, not an individual alone, though individually spoken to the entity, to the soul that manifests itself in the present in the name called 1436. This becomes then not an incident but as a lesson that all may learn. That is the reason, that is the purpose, that is why in the activity much should be expected, why much shall be endured, why much may be given, by the soul that has learned that God condemns not they that seek to know his face and believe. Then it is not karma but in him that the debt is paid. For who forgave thee thy material shortcomings, thy material errors, as judged by thy superiors at that experience in the material world? Thy Lord, thy Master thyself. For he stands in thy stead, before that willingness of thy inner self, thy soul, to do good unto others, that willingness, that seeking is righteousness, if ye will but understand, if ye will but see and forget the law that killeth, but remember the spirit of forgiveness that makes alive. Know that as ye do it unto the least of thy brethren, much less flesh of thy flesh or the choice of thy blood, ye do it unto thy Maker. For as the entity applies self, as the varied experiences become a part of thy problems, some ye have faced, some ye have turned thy back upon. Remember, ye cannot run away from thyself. Remember the lesson as of old, thy brother's blood crieth unto thee from the ground, and thou art thy brother's keeper. And who is thy brother? He that needs thee, in any phase of his experience, any seeker after truth and justice and right, he is thy brother of whatever land or whatever clime. They that are sufficient unto themselves need not the physician, but they as thyself that crieth, Lord, Lord, they need thy strengthening arm, thy encouragement. Hence hold fast to him, his ways, his manners of approach to all phases of human endeavor. For remember, he was human as well as divine. So art thou divine, to the extent that thou keepest his ways. And thy prayer should ever be. Thy will, O Lord, not mine, be done in and through me. He, that Christ consciousness, is that first spoken of in the beginning when God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And that is the light manifested in the Christ. First it became physically conscious in Adam. And as in Adam we all die, so in the last Adam Jesus, becoming the Christ we are all made alive. Not unto that as of one, then. For we each meet our own selves, even as he, though this did not become possible, practical in a world experience, until he, Jesus, became the Christ and made the way. Thus he became the first of those that within self arose to righteousness. Thus may we, as individuals, as we apply ourselves, become aware of that abiding presence as he promised, yea, as he maintained, "If I go away I will send the Spirit of truth, the Spirit of righteousness, and he shall abide with you." And I and the Father will come.